Not Standard Procedures is a podcast interview series created at the Toronto Art Therapy Institute with practitioners and students in creative arts therapies about their learnings and different ways of knowing and how creativity and imaginations can change the world. In this episode, activist scholar Elene Lam chats with art therapist Rehaana Manek about research practices as creative ways of resistance.
Hi everyone, my name is Rehaana Manek. I'm a recent graduate of the Toronto Art Therapy Institute, and I am here with Elene Lam, Assistant Professor of Social Work at York University, and we're here to talk about institutional ethnography and praxis.
Hi everyone, nice to be here. It is my honor to come to this podcast, and I'm so glad to be here.
Great.
And so my research, I think before I talk about my research, I would like to talk more about my community involvement, because my research, the purpose is not the research paper. My research, the purpose is really want to bring the change. Particularly, I am the executive director of Butterfly. Is a community organizer for a long time, so that's why my research is always try to bring the social change, how to use the research to organize the community. And so this is really honor. I have chance to work with community in past year, and participation action research is always my focus. And for my PhD, I use institutional ethnography. And something maybe some people is interested in institutional ethnography is maybe we can talk more about the method later, but it's the tools help me to go beyond the individual experience, but also looking at how the institution is oppressed the people. So this is how I do the research. My research is always related to Asian migrant sex worker, because I'm with the group Butterfly Asian and Migrant Sex Worker Support Network. It's a grassroots organization, so that is how I do the research. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And what about your research right now?
So my research again is always not start from myself, it start from the community. So in the past, particularly when I studied at my master degree, I have chance to outreach the Asian massage parlor. At that time, a lot of Asian massage parlor is being harassed by the law enforcement. Even police and CBSA will come in, the by law enforcement officer give them a lot of ticket. During that time, bigger context is the sex worker are challenging the constitution, say like the sex work law is unconstitutional. And I heard that, okay, so it seems the police do not enforce the law, but for the Asian migrant sex worker, they are arrested, detained, and deported. So that's why give me the great question, what happened, right? So what happened, why Asian migrant sex worker is being targeted? So that's why I do the research related to anti-human trafficking, because a lot of this initiative is come from, okay, I'm come to rescue the woman, I come to protect the woman, but at the end, is the woman being arrested, detained, and deported. If people have immigration status, they will give them a lot of by law ticket to shut down the Asian massage parlor. So that drive me to do different type of research. Really, one type of research, we want the funding to tell the government. We have the evidence how it harmed the community member. The other type of research is more focused how the research itself can include, like have the leadership from the community, what they want to change, and then like how through the research process we do organizing and we bring in different resources, allies, and bring the social change. So this is the purpose of the research, and the purpose of the research always come from community. They want to stop the shutdown of massage parlor, they want to stop the rape. So that is the purpose of the research, yeah.
So it sounds like you come at it from like a community, a policy, and an academic approach.
Yeah, so that's why I will call myself activist scholarship, because when, traditional academic is very like discriminatory, a lot of knowledge not being recognized, how academic institutions often uphold white supremacy. The way we speak, the way we write, who should we cite is like often is do not have space or like do not recognize the knowledge from many people, particular marginalized people, and myself also have a lot of struggle. I'm glad you have this institution, they recognize different form of knowledge, but when I was in the art, the academic institution, a lot of struggle, so that I'm glad later on I can bring in like more community-based, also use the institutional ethnography. It's not only study about the issue, but how to change the institution, change the policy, yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how you entered the space, both academically and through community?
Yes, so my academic journey is more survival. So I have chance to study in Canada, my master degree of social work. So, but because they need practicum, so that's why I start to outreach Asian migrant sex worker. Later on, I organized the organization Butterfly, but it's always the tension, right? So like always, the knowledge I learned from community is not being recognized. After I finish my master, I have chance to continue work with community, but I don't have funding, so that's why I go to university. I went to my PhD because I can get fund, and so that can do the organizing work. But it's also give me the opportunity I can learn more, so that's why I do not position myself as a scholar, academic. I really, really hope to break the wall, right? So that how the research can bring the change and how we can bring community member to the classroom, and this is really how I see academic, because academic have power, have resources, that how to change the system to like recognize more knowledge, and particularly from the community.
Okay. This leads me to my next question. So in a previous conversation, you said that academic papers don't start with stories, but they should. So why is that important?
Yeah, so this is one of the examples. So I don't remember how many years, like 8 or 10 years to complete my PhD. So because the way I have written is often not recognized as academic, right? So for example, I have written a lot of my background, particularly what informed me to see the world, right? Particularly, I have been involved in social movement so long, and how different community members, sex worker, migrant, racialized people teach me, inform me how I see the world. But they say, okay, this is not academic. You should not write so much. And I always like to start the writing with the story, because I think we should start from the story. But so often it's also say, okay, it is not academic. Despite we know a lot of critical feminists, a lot of critical race theories is bringing, no, we need to disturb this way of writing. So that's why I like institutional ethnography. So this is the methodology. They say, I don't start from theory, I start from story. I start from real life experience. So this gives me the room to do that. And also personally, I also honor all the story, right? All the knowledge actually is built from the very, very powerful story, no matter the story about their oppression. But when you see the story of oppression, always you can find the resistance. I think they are so powerful and so important, and it's the core of my work. So that's why this is a lot of tension. But I think the story is so important.
Yeah. And then the meat of it comes out in the tension as well, right?
Yes.
My background is in anthropology, and anthropology is all about the narrative, but the narrative gets caught up in the academic, the ivory tower, and then you don't really pull out the story so much as the theory, and then I feel like the tension gets lost, so you don't get that meat. So how do you present those stories, and why is how we present them important?
So I think this is how oppression play out, right? How to oppose supremacy, white supremacy, because they make some knowledge. If you don't write in the same way, if you don't present in the same way, they are not recognized, right? It's very interesting, the community story. When they tell the story, they are not the expert, but the professor research about the story, they tell the findings, they become the expert, right? So I think this is ridiculous, but this is so often is the reality, right? So that's why I also encourage you guys, many of you will do research, but then how you keep thinking, do not treat the story as the data, right? The story is human. And then so how to involve the community in shaping, their story, in your work, in your research, and then how to centering. And there is different form to make the story being heard, right? So in the writing, the style, you can include more of the voices, how they can involve in that writing process. Or like for me, I always like to create some events, sometimes arts exhibition, also like create panel platform, always invite the community member, also share the story directly, right? So you have chance to listen to the story, you feel this is so powerful, but this is a gap because the community member may not have chance to talk to the public, or academic. So that like for me, because of my privilege, my background, create the room, I can do that, right? So now with the technology, people may use podcasts, the identity is always the challenge, particularly you work with the marginalized Asian migrant sex workers are being criminalized, being discriminated. So that's why we also use different creative way, a collective identity instead of individual identity, and how people want to represent themselves to make the voice being heard, right? So, but we also recognize the limitation of individual story. I don't say, as I keep saying, individual story is so important. But I know a lot of social worker or counselors say, okay, they are depressed, how we can heal that. They have so low social like self-esteem, they have so much fear, how we can help them to process or deal with the individual struggle. But I like institutional ethnography because this is really aligned with my understanding of the world. The individual experience is shaped by the institution, is shaped by the discourse, right? When the sex worker, everyone say you are the bad whore every day, how you can have the good self-esteem, right? We need to bring in different narrative, right? We also know how the institution, for example, law enforcement continues harass them every day, that make them have a lot of fear. For example, the policy do not allow them to lock the door. For example, in Toronto, the massage parlor is not allowed them to lock the door. That they may face different type of violence, they cannot protect themselves, that they will have fear, right? They will traumatize because they cannot have the protective measure. It's come from the institution. So that's why I think learning about how individual experience being shaped by the institution and by the discourse, and particularly we call it like text, like for example policy, like that how is shape the life of the people. I think this is also very important part.
It's like multiple bridges to different places, and there's lots of ways back and forth.
Yes, exactly. So that's often if people use institutional ethnography, they say it's mapping, right? So how mapping the process, how the institution process, how different, for example, there is the law, give power to the law enforcement, then the institution can come in to shape the life of the worker because they cannot lock the door, they need to open the door that is controlled by outside force, then how to affect them, right? So I think, yes, you're right, it's mapping. And it's also, there is a term called ruling relation. Because of the institution process also create the ruling relation, the law enforcement have power over you, right? So for example, if you see by law enforcement on the street, you don't need to fear of them, but because of the text, because of the bylaw, give them power. Then if they can punish you, they can give you ticket, then they will have power over you. So that's why at that time, when I do the organizing of Butterfly, when I talk to massage worker, many of them have received so much ticket. Sometimes went to the court, 15 Asian women queuing to pay for the ticket, and some even when they work in massage parlor, they were being ordered to take off the clothes because they want to find the thing to charge them. Because if they wear sexy underwear, they imagine that okay, you must be sex worker, and then they will use the text, like the bylaw say you are not wearing professionally to charge you and give you fine. So that you can see every part is related, and mapping out I found is so powerful.
And there's that like dehumanizing element, right? Like to strip them of their agency and of their
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And also I think particularly people do a lot of clinical practice, they will focus on, okay, this person distressed, right? This person dehumanized. And I think it's very important, particularly if we want to bring social change, institutional change to chase, right? So where is the root, like what is the root cause, like how homophobia, you know, racism contribute, but racism itself do not affect people. They need some agent in the middle to make it to be the practice to harm the people, right? So that's why the law, how racism is embedded in the law. Like for example, there is a city called the town of Newmarket. They want to shut down all the Asian massage parlor. So in the past, you know, we have Chinese Exclusion Act. They can say, okay, Chinese cannot come to Canada. But now they cannot be so explicit of racism, right? So what they do is they impose the criteria. If you want to do massage, they need you to have the Canadian education credential.
Right.
In order, so they create a tax, right? They create a law that give the law enforcement go in if you don't have the license, because you cannot get license, because if you're low income, do not speak English, if that you cannot go to academic institute in Canada, then you will not able to get the license. So this they through the bylaw they impose the systematic racism,
Agents of oppression.
yes, and then the institution can come to punish the woman. And the woman got $5,000 fine.
Wow.
Again, the narrative is anti-trafficking. I need to have anti-trafficking. How anti-trafficking protect the woman by give them $5,000 fine, right? But the mapping, that's why I always think institutionally, but I think IE give me the tool step by step. Okay, what happened here? Who are the institution activate the text, what is the text, and how the ideology embed in the text to shape the life of the worker, right? And then you can build a resistance when we always talk about oppression. Okay, we found that the text, they embedded the racism. You need credential to get the license. The workers are so smart. We have community meeting, what we can do. The workers say, what credential they want? Can you help us to get the credential? That's why, okay, the text say, you need to get a Canadian education institution credential. That's why we work with York University to create a training for the worker. And then that becomes the credential. Then they can use it to apply the license. Because whole process make them illegal. The resistance is how we challenge it, and also make them have the way to work. But at the same time, we also need to change the racism, right? Because they're the root cause. They still can have a lot of policy imposed, but because of the collective like organizing to do the resistance. And my research is document that, right? And through the research, also bring people together, because traditionally it's like, okay, you have the research proposal, you do the research and knowledge transfer, right? But for me, the whole process is actually together. Like I learn from the community, and then you may have some understanding about the issue, but you also involve the community to interrupt how we can, okay, I do the mapping, I know more about the law, how we can already transfer the knowledge, let the community know about the law, how they can organize to make the change. One of the example is City of Toronto. I don't know why targeting the Asian massage parlor, and I review a lot of documents. Actually, is the anti-trafficking group, they are lobbying the City of Toronto, say, okay, Asian massage parlor in Toronto is the size of human trafficking, we need to shut them down. 2,000 workers may lost the job. And the worker don't know about that, right? Even the city is discussing the law, because the exclusion, discrimination, they are never being consulted, right? So when I identify this text give power law enforcement to harm the worker, and very important, we let the worker know what happened by translate the text, not only the language to accessible, and then how they can involve in the lobbying. That's why 300 workers went to City Hall to make the change. So sometimes we may not change the text immediately, but we may change some of the practice and make the people know this is not about protect human trafficking. This is about racism.
Yeah,
It's anti-Asian racism. Yeah.
And under the guise of like victims of a trafficking, right? But which strips people of their power and their agency.
Yes, yes. But everyone say, what do you think about human trafficking? Everyone say, okay, this is good, you know.
Yeah.
But they don't know that historically, anti-human trafficking is reinforced racism, you know, and how is anti-migrant, and also is like it's an anti-sex work initiative, right? So that how is problematic. Often have the conflation, you know, of human trafficking with sex work. Conflation is like Asian woman, so you cannot speak English. That means you cannot consent, and then they take away your agency,
your power. Yeah,
they want to do it, but how? Through the text, right?
Yeah.
Then the powerful, I need to call them out. It's called Canadian Center to End Human Trafficking. When the student need to pay so much tuition fee in Toronto, Ontario, we do not have a lot of funding with housing, a lot of service. They pay $40 million for this organization. Ontario government pay $300 million for anti-trafficking. A lot of money is go to anti-sex work organization. A lot of money is go to law enforcement, and then harm the worker by create the tax, give the law enforcement power so that they can
enact it.
Enact it.
Okay, in this research, and generally when we're working with community, how can we intentionally create spaces where people feel safe and comfortable?
I think I would say that, how to say, it's no way we can make people safe and comfortable, right? So because the world is so unsafe, they are facing all the challenge all the time. So that's why I think we really want to have the space people come together. But how the people know about the struggle is not because of their fault, right? Not because about themselves. How this collective struggle is come from the oppressive structure, institution, right? That how we can create a space people can support each other, take care of each other, and have the hope that we can make some change. And that process, because sometimes we think, okay, how we can make each other feel comfortable, because we always need to challenge the way we think, right? Like, for example, okay, some worker may think, okay, I need to comply with the law enforcement, they don't give me a ticket. They may feel comfortable to think this way. The challenge is, okay, that they may need to involve, they may need to talk to other people that experience in different form. It's a new experience, can be very, very challenging. But how we can build the environment, sometimes I don't use the term comfortable, but if you come to butterfly event, you can come with so much love, care, and power to make people can have different form of participation. Some people would like to speak more, some people they may choose to be more listening role, but how together we feel that like we have the power, able to support each other, care of each other, and make the change. And I think that is very, very important.
Through community.
Yes, through community.
And connection.
Yeah. Because I think the safe space thing is always, I keep thinking, right? The world is not safe, right? How we understand safe space is very different. Now I feel we need to be special conscious about people talk about safe space, because people use it to oppress other people, right? Because like, okay, I need more security, I need to make people safe. I don't want people to say something I disagree, because I want to keep each other safe, right? So, and our understanding of safety is very different with how institutions understand safety and like use it to increase more policing and oppression. So now I also keep thinking, maybe you guys can contribute what is alternative terms. Some people say brave space, some people say mutual care, community space, so that like, I think how creatively, we just need a space.
To build community
to build
and
a
connection.
community, connection,
So then on that thought, is it possible to intentionally create safe spaces within, or safe spaces within the institution?
Never. So that is about like before I also go through that process. Okay, the police is bad, they are racist, how we can train them to better investigate, whether we can change the people instead of white people, you know, racialized people come in. right? So that I have go through that process, whether this like law enforcement, like this criminal system can be reformed. And I have been thinking about that and believe that, but now not anymore. Because this system is designed to oppress. This system is designed to uphold white supremacy, and they are the institution to protect the people with power, with resources. Even they reform, they change the form. They don't change the real purpose. And so that's why we need alternative system, right? So that like when workers experience violence, we need to know what is the root cause. Is criminalization. Is criminalization take away the power people protect each other? For example, the sex worker, so often they work together, and some of the workers, they speak English, they may answer the phone, they screen the client. It's become illegal. This is the protective measure become illegal, right? And how the stigma criminalize discrimination make the people think, okay, you are the whore, I can do whatever, right? I even can have power, take away your life, right? So that is the root cause we need to address. Law enforcement cannot do it, right? And how we have the system when there is conflict come up in the community, how we can deal with it, right? So, and how we can address the poverty, in the community. That's why I keep encourage the alternative system. And I am in social work program. Many people think, okay, whether social worker can be alternative to police. But so that's why the police or criminal system is not only police officer or criminal law, right? If the social worker still continues taking the role to police people, this like the causal logic is still think some bad people need to be punished, and then this social work become part of the pipeline.
It's still an agent of oppression.
Right, so still continues to oppress, and sometimes social work even oppress more, even counselor, right? Counselor, you can impose those moralistic judgment through the counseling to continue to maintain the oppression and in the name of helping. And the violence make it invisible. It's more scaring, right? Before police, okay, I know this police dangerous. Now I have a caring social worker. Tell me everything, and then they will report to CS, take away your children.
It's camouflage, right?
Right?
Yeah. And then how do you protect yourself against camouflage? Okay, if we can shift gears a little bit more towards researchers' resistance, what does pushback look like in your research at an institutional level?
I think, as I said, like why you guys need to do research, right? So often it's the academic requirement that need you to do research, and we know academic institution is an important institution of uphold white supremacy, right? That a lot of knowledge, people hold the knowledge, they do not involve in this knowledge making process, right? So that like they are being treated as an object to study, I think you have a lot of methodology course talk about that. Even we talk about that, but at the end we still treat the people this way, right? Like as a data, and then it's advance your academic career. You're caring how I can write a high impact general literature, right?
All of anthropology is built on
right,
this.
like how I can have a thesis, I can complete my degree, and
they become tools instead of people.
Then the research is not is the tools for academic advancement instead of the tools is the research is the tools for change, right? The change has so many different levels. How people involve the process can change, how people feel that their voice being heard, how they feel getting more power in that, like involved in the research process, right? And how they feel that like through your process is challenging some of the problematic narrative, or idea that to show different picture, right, individually. And also collectively, sometimes people are marginalized, they are very lonely. Through the research, they can also have chance to connect with other people, hear other people's story. They know they're not by themselves, and we know a lot of researchers like to bring people together in the knowledge transfer or focus group and not finish that, right? I see a lot of researchers just, okay, I have a knowledge transfer, one meeting, present the result, that finish, but how to continue to use that to build the community and also to bring the social and policy change, to transform the society, right? For example, my project, one of the things is locking door is the concern of the massage worker in Toronto because workers being robbed, raped, and even murdered. So that locking door is the concern. So that how they organize, keep collecting story, and this is one of the area keep used to lobby different group and city councillor. And now we cannot change the law, right? The text is powerful. We are not powerful enough to change the law, but we can stop the city enforce the law. The city commit, I don't enforce the law. This is a win, this is a change. It's not by the research, it's the research with the community can bring the change, right? And then how this change can give the encouragement, empower the community continues to involve and making the change. There is policy change, and so that's why Butterfly is also fighting for status for all, particularly now is like so strong anti-migrant sentiment, and to let the migrant voice being heard and push back the xenophobia, and also how homophobia play out, and particularly other policy change is like criminalization of sex work, right? So one part is policy change, the other is changing the social narrative because marginalized narrative is not being heard. And we know how the dominant ideology is shaping the policy, right? So that's I think is very important. And I hope all of you, you do the research, not only thinking, okay, how I can do the paper, graduate, but like how your paper can make the change, right? Not all the people involved in policy work, but always think beyond what you can do, right? Because sometimes the oppression, how it's operate because they limit our imagination. They take away our belief of power of change, right? So, and then how your research can change the people involved in this research, how it can support the community affected, and how your research can bring in social and policy change. And I think this is something I really encourage. Not only write one sentence, right? When you write proposal, always have a sentence, how you bring social policy change, but genuinely, how you think, how you can make the change.
Yeah. What about at an academic level? Do you get pushback on your research?
I think I position myself as academic scholar. So that like when you challenge, I'm not academic enough, I am doing community research, like I am more not academic. So I feel at my early stage, I feel so much struggle. I feel I'm not belongs. I don't know how to position myself now. I don't care, to be honest. The faith, like which publication have most people view is not your rescue project. It's not written in very academic way. Not rescue. Sorry, my mind is like I have done a research called Behind the Rescue. More than 2,000 people read. Compared with my academic writing, is like only 30 people read, right? Yeah. But that report also changed the government. They do not allow police and CBSA in some cooperation collaborate together, right? So I think that is more powerful, more important than the high impact, so that's why I am lucky because I come in academic, already have some advocate and scholar before they open the room to recognize different form of knowledge, just like here, right? And that student may bring in different format. And I was so lucky, given this opportunity, now I'm in academic, I also want to create more room for other people. I may not be so successful as other professor, but this is not my purpose, right? But I need to recognize my privilege, why I am in academic institution. It's not because me, it's because so many community work with me, and I have the privilege. Now I'm more thinking about how I can be accountable to community. I just got funding. It's a research project, how to bring migrant sex worker exchange with indigenous sex worker. It's like, and I have $5,000, can
build those
build the
connections.
connection. We
Yeah.
can go to Six Nations, the Healing Lodge of No More Silence, Butterfly, and so that is like something instead of like academic writing. I think use my position power and continue. This is a beautiful research, and the other project is organize the migrant sex worker to go to exchange with Stella. They have an art exhibition. If you guys go to Montreal, so like Stella is a sex worker organization in Montreal. So it's like 35 years already. So that they have an art exhibition talk about the history. I also want to have a research mapping how the sex worker movement, particular migrant sex worker movement, have been developed in last decade. And I think this is really, I keep thinking how the research would be able to document some of the very valuable knowledge, but also continues to bring the change here.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you struggled with this in the beginning. Is that how you overcame the struggle, like understanding the impact that your research could have outside of the academic institution?
I think academic before I feel so sick because I feel they are shaping me, right? And I'm so glad I have some very good friends, so supportive. And later on, I know the mechanism, the academic institution is really want to change you to be part of them. When you feel difficult, you are going against the institution. So sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to the right direction. Because they want you to suffer, they don't want to support you in order to make you to be part of it, right? So, and I think this is the great reflection I have, and after that I feel, okay, it makes sense. Why I struggle, it makes sense, right? Because they don't want this knowledge. And I always joke, in many oppressive countries, Hong Kong, China, if you have anti-government, you have like all this like critical perspective, they put you in prison. And in Canada, they put you in NGO or put you in the academic institute. Then they can control you. The way you speak, the way you talk, and even sometimes your knowledge. That's why we always say we need to be mindful. Your butt control your brain, right? In certain position, you feel, okay, I need to be performed that way to be academic. Even I have broken English. I'm still teaching in university, right?
Yeah.
But it's given a lot of encouragement for other students.
Yeah, like what it means to be legitimate or legitimized in these spaces.
Yeah. So, and I think the academic institution always create a hierarchy that is maintaining the power. They make the people feel this is the goal. Everyone need to fight, and against each other, and then can achieve. And I just encourage you. So there is not only one goal, and sometimes they make you to follow one goal is because they just want you don't see other things. So, and then everyone have come from different community, have different purpose of your life, how you see the world. But through learning, coming together, build a community, I hope in the academic development like process or in your life, I hope that you can find other goal, other purpose, that particularly related to social justice that they may not be recognized by the academic institution, and find allies, to support you to do this. I think that's so important. Yeah.
So you mentioned goals, which connects me to my next question, which is maybe I'm asking this to you as a professor and an activist scholar. What is the social justice goal of your research, and how do you bridge theory and practice at an institutional level, but also when you're helping your students to understand this work?
I think I'm the person is quite organic. So, and I think different stage of like different community I'm working with, the goal is different, right? But if you ask me, I really believe the society should not operate in the way like now, right? So that why the rich have more access or power, resources than the poor. What is the institution we need to have this like class discrepancy, right? Why the society have this like racial hierarchy, marginalized people, racialized people keep like playing the role to serve, the white upper class, middle class, so that I think this is not the society we want to see operate, right? Why we see genocide, in Gaza, many cities, nationalism, imperialism, like fascism, and that is something the society keep shaping it as normal, right? So that I think for me, it's different code have one sentence, to say what my definition of social justice. But I think in different sector, in different role, that how you keep challenging, right? Because I'm a person is quite practical, I know some people really have the big slogan dream. I think this is really great, but for me it's like how we can transform the society. Then the people can, without need to oppress each other, so that actually often we believe that we don't have enough resources. It's not, right? We know 1% people get 99% of the resources. How we can have different social system, economic system, how we can have social system, how we have different racial relations with that, we have different world. And I think this is the more I can say, I really hope more people will contribute to develop how the world we want to be. And I'm still learning process. But for example, now I'm in academic institution. What is the social change? What is the social justice? Is how to support the marginalized student, often marginalized by academic, so that how they can submit different form of assignment, how they can do the research, they're really passionate, and how they can develop in that process, right? For my social justice work, how to build the solidarity between different movements. Migrant sex worker, Asian migrant sex worker, do not only fight for our own issue, how we have to see our struggle is not individual, we have this collective struggle. So like for example, we join the Draw the Line rally and movement, how indigenous justice, migrant justice, environmental justice, labor movement all come together to bring the change, right? So this is what I see. I see social justice is an ing form instead of a fixed goal. Because something we think is advanced, that maybe would be challenged in the future, right? But I really hope everyone can have the hope, when we see the injustice, not only frustrated and also not only see our own struggle, but also seeing the struggle of other people, and then how we can contribute to bring the change here.
How do you foster a sense of hope in your students? Because sometimes the institution can feel so big and so impossible to kind of, scale the wall. How do you foster a sense
I just
of
encourage everyone to celebrate all the small success, right? Today we come together. Do you feel better after the class? Yes, clapping, right? Like you want to take something, you make a new friends. This is worth to celebrate, right? So I just think, sometimes we are so frustrated because we always only see the goal far away, and celebrate every moment. I have chance to learn from you, I know you have amazing research also, particularly how see racism play out in the academic institution. This is my honor to be here to connect with different students. Maybe some of students like to connect with me, and I think this is really blessing, right? So that we have very strong anti-oppression analysis, but I feel how we have this we need to celebrate all the success, that how we build power by this piece by piece, and this is what I think.
And through joy.
Yeah.
Okay, so organizing, we know, is about building community and working as a group. How do you continue to inspire your activist colleagues and your students to organize?
I think just like as you say, they feel they have the confidence, they feel that they can involve in something, even different role, right? So for example, this is what I learned when I work in a violence against women organization. We have a support group. There is a very lovely senior lady. She feel I cannot talk, I don't want to share, but she make chicken wing for us, 100 different type of chicken wing in the meeting, how she can involve, right? So, and I think this is the encouragement. Don't feel I need to force to do something, but if you find the community, if that is associated with your belief, and then you can start from what you because chicken wing cooking is her best skill. She just offer her best to us. I think this is so
whatever
beautiful.
Her contribution
right?
is.
Same as other students. Some students feel, okay, if I participate in the movement, I need to rally at the front. I need to speak loudly. But some students may not feel this is something they want to do at the moment, and so even they back up. Just make sure people do not left behind. even don't forget anything, these are playing a very important role, right? But I also believe that people can be, keep changing, open with different experience. And I think this is the beautiful part of community is we have the community and the way how different people can involve in different form and feel proud, feel the power, and that encouragement will encourage people can have one more step, to do the different thing and bring the difference, right? How oppression operate because they make us police each other. They make them police ourselves, whether I'm good enough to talk, whether I'm good enough to perform, whether I know the issue enough to talk about this, right? But I really, really think everything is a learning process, growing process, and then how we can create a space everyone can feel, okay, I can be part of change, I can be part of movement, how I can play the role differently. And sometimes it's difficult to say that when I moved to Canada, it's really interesting experience because I come from the background is very marginalized, it's like always very community mindset. I think individual need is very, very important, but if we only see individual, only see how my identity struggle, so often make us so marginalized, and also so lonely,
isolated,
isolated. But if we see our struggle is actually collectively, and then sometimes we will more open, don't only see ourselves, only not seeing ourselves suffer, we see our other people suffer, but also learn about the resistance from different people, and sometimes can have that take away our vulnerability because how, the government, white supremacy take away our power, it just make us isolate and vulnerable. So that's why this is something I keep trying to challenge, like we may have our individual struggle, but whether we can see this is not individual issue, it's a collective issue, how different people use different form to resist, and then how we can support, inspire each other, that we don't only focus on our own individual struggle, and then may bring us different experience and then move outside from our own struggle. So, and I think this is something I really want. I don't know whether I can do it, but this is really, I believe,
Yeah. Why do you do this work, you personally?
I don't plan my life just like I'm not the person. I have 5 years plan. So I was so lucky. I have learning disability. You see my broken English, so, but I'm good in multiple choice. So that's why in Hong Kong there is a lot of examination is multiple choice. I can recognize the term that I can survive. And so when I enter my university, I don't want to study in social work because I don't want my interests become my career. But why I'm interested in social work, because at that time, social work is not very clinical, because I grew up in a very marginalized community. At that time, there is some community development program. The social worker, how they do the practice, they know we don't have food. They just bring us to their office, buy us food that we can eat, and then how they mentor us, have chance to talk to different people, meet different people. So that inspire me. I'm not alone, right? So like, for example, I join a program is how family shape the individual. Like I have a lot of family struggle, but then I understand, okay, this not because of my parents, it's because as a migrant, so much struggle they have go through to shape how they interact with me. That really is the mind-blowing. And then, but why I need to study social work, because in Hong Kong also professionalization, if I don't study social work, I cannot be the social worker. And then I don't like to work in big institution, social worker, a lot of controlling of other people's life. How are 20 years old children never have parenting experience to teach a parent how to do parenting? I can't do it, right? And so that's why I have chance to connect with a grassroots sex worker organization that's start my connection. And so after that, I keep having working in the sex worker organization in Hong Kong, it's give me a lot of opportunity work with like sex worker in India when the Indian sex worker do not allow, the children do not allow to study in the school, they build their own school. You know, like when Cambodian sex worker, they don't have an office, they use a boat to turn into the office, how they organize to fight against the pharmaceutical company to use the body to do the drug test, the HIV test. And this is what I learned from, so that is really informed how I do the work today, yeah. So.
I know you've answered this and I've asked this in different ways, and you mentioned that society is the thing you want to create, but maybe to end our time together, you can say again, what is the change that you are trying to create?
Because I'm talking to you, so I want the first change is you guys, you know. I hope you will feel that you can be the agent of change, right? So like, and sometimes we think something very far away, but from ourselves, you know, how you can change your relationship with other people, how you can think about in your practice, even you do individual work, can think outside, you know, how you can learn how does oppression operate, you know, even in this institute, how you use your power and position in the institute to make more students, you know, or other people concerned about the social justice issue. And I think that would be amazing. And thank you so much. It is my honor to be here. And thank you so much.
Thank you. This was such a great conversation.
That's so great. Thank you.
This episode with Elene Lam and Rehaana Manek was created in September 2025. We thank the students and our teachers for inspiring our conversations and reflections. Production support by Michael Young. Music by the Polish ambassador from the Free Music Archive. Thank you for listening. See you next time.